Hey, I'm Tara. Welcome to A Little Good News with Tara. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit today. I had a couple of stories and I wanted to talk a little bit about how we need each other, and I got a pretty neat story for you today about people finding people. But I was looking at YouTube earlier and I saw a little boy who was in foster care, who was in a school program, and he wasn't singing, and he looked real sad. And then he noticed his potential adoptive parents. They were trying to adopt him in the crowd. It might have been the first time there. And you could just see this little kid light up. I mean, he started singing with the other kids, and he was just thrilled that somebody was there for him. And that kind of made my heart sing. And then there was another video. It was a little baby girl. I guess I think this is the story I'm thinking of. Somebody had put her in a safe box at a firehouse, and the fireman ended up adopting her, and he didn't care that she was, going to be a blonde-headed, blue-eyed little girl. I think he was Hispanic. It didn't bother him at all. He just loved her, and it showed a clip from later where she was telling the interviewer, she said, "I just love him." So it's some of these stories are really heartwarming. But there was this one kid in particular, a 7-year-old boy that made the national news. His name was True, and it was in Nebraska, and he was in foster care, and he had to have major surgery, heart surgery. I don't know how anybody could do this, but the social service people dropped him off. They took him to where he was supposed to be in the hospital and let him sit there, dropped him off. This kid at 7 years old, did not have an adult with him, did not know why he was there, didn't know why anybody wasn't staying with him while he was there. He was totally at the mercy of the hospital personnel. So he's going through this heart surgery, 7 hours long, and the anesthesiologist, I hope I said that right, decided that she wasn't going to let that happen again, not to this particular child anyway. And she called her husband and she told him what was going on, and then this child didn't have a person in the world, and they decided to try and adopt him, which they finally did. But after that, he had a forever home, and that's how could somebody just fall through the cracks so much as to be a little old kid and be in the hospital and having major surgery and not a soul in the world there. But he did end up with a family. So the anesthesiologist, that's hard to say, they adopted him. Well, after they adopted him, the social services, whatever they're called, found out he had like 5 more siblings. And the woman who adopted True, her and her husband already had children, and they thought, well, we've got to do something. What can we do besides, if we take in all these kids, we're going to have a house plumb full and we're not prepared. So she talked her sister into adopting one of them. She talked her sister-in-law into adopting one of them. She talked her friend, a coworker, into adopting 2 of them, and there was one left, and she and her husband decided to take in. So they all get together all the time, and all these kids are getting to grow up together, all because somebody couldn't stand the fact that a 7-year-old kid was at the hospital having major surgery without anybody with him. But that won't happen to True again, because he's in a forever family, a very large village, if you will. He gets to be raised with all his siblings, and it sounds like a tight-knit group. So that's awesome. I remember back when I was working, I ran into 2 different young ladies that were very young when they had their first child. Both ladies, as far as I know, still only have the one child. But they were by themselves, and I'm thinking, how could you go in to a hospital and have a baby by yourself, a young person, nobody there with you? I've got 3 kids. They're all in their 30s now, but I had, family out there waiting, but not these girls. And I'm thinking, what are we doing so wrong with, people need people. And I realize some families are maybe a little toxic, maybe they can't, maybe they're out of state or something, but both these young women had people living around them or with them that it just seems like they could have been there with them. I don't know, where people go wrong. I know one of them's mama was scared she'd get in trouble on her job. Now that's a shame when you work for people that decide what's important in your life and what isn't. Her grandbaby arriving should have been at the top of the list on important days to take off work, but I don't know. I guess I don't know what to make of it. But with True and his family, I just found that that's a little good news. He's got a forever home, and he gets to be with his siblings, and they might not be in the same house or right next door, but they're certainly in the same group of people. So I find that to be a little good news. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a human. I know I've told this story before on a previous video where we found our dog. She was approximately 6 weeks old. We've had her, this will be year 6, I think. And she had her head stuck in the fence across the dirt road that we live on. And we asked the whole neighborhood if they'd lost a dog. Nobody had, so we just kept her. And I don't know if we adopted her or she adopted us, but it's, we needed that little dog and she needed us. It just works that way. So I think we all kind of need each other. And I've noticed lately, I haven't had a job since 2 weeks before Christmas of last year, 2025, and I started looking a lot at YouTube and channels that I like, the metal detecting channels and the gold penning channels and the people who go to the flea markets, but especially the metal detecting and the bottle digging and maybe even some magnet fishing. But these people on these metal detecting channels, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing. We all need each other. We're all supporting each other on YouTube, and sometimes they'll send out, you can win a prize, or they'll get so many subscribers, and they'll send out gifts for that sort of thing and such. And I'm thinking, if the whole world acted like the metal detecting people and supported each other, but it's like they never fail. They're very faithful to supporting each other, and I hope I'm helping a little bit. Yeah, that's something to think on. Maybe we should think more about, how can we make this happen, not just in metal detecting, but in YouTube videos supporting each other, but in real life, because there's a lot of people out there, like 7-year-old True, that just ain't got a soul in the world. But I'm super happy his story ended well anyway. But food for thought, my POV, I guess, for the day. So I'm going to get back to enjoying this beautiful spring day. And I'm in a short sleeve t-shirt, which is awesome because it's warm today. The grass is green. The Bradford pear trees are turning white, and everything's beautiful. So I'm super happy about that too. I'm just super happy about everything right now. Y'all have a good day, and thank you for watching.